Hello and welcome again to the Hour with Jim Pellegrino, where we have lively discussions with people from the worlds of entrepreneurs, education, healthcare, and politics, with an informative impact each time you tune in. On this program, our guests include Lisa Wilson-Foley, entrepreneur and multiple business owner, David Evans, entrepreneur and also president of Easy Seat LLC and president of Geode Software, Ken Poppy, director, Center for Advising and Career Exploration here at CCSU. So sit down, sit back, and enjoy the hour. Hello, this is Jim Pellegrino, your host for the hour. In our first segment, we welcome our first guest, Lisa Wilson-Foley. How are you, Lisa?
I'm great.
In fact, it's Happy New Year, and you are our first guest of the new year.
All right.
And Lisa is a very, very successful entrepreneur, 2 decades of experience owning and operating businesses in the healthcare and entertainment industries. She's also won a lot of local, regional, and national awards and been on local, regional, and national boards, educated at Yale University, Masters of Public Health, and also is a PhD candidate in physical therapy. Is that correct?
A doctorate, yes.
And your doctorate in physical therapy.
Yes.
And Lisa also decided, because I guess perhaps she didn't have enough to do this year, that she was going to put herself up as a nominee for lieutenant governor for the state of Connecticut. So in the midst of all of this going on, and owning, selling 10 companies, and your education work, and your family, etc., you decide that you're going to throw your hat in the ring for lieutenant governor. Tell us, let's talk politics for about 5 minutes, Lisa, okay? We got to stop after 5 minutes. So tell me, why did you decide in the midst of everything else that you're doing to take a run for lieutenant governor?
You know, it was a really hard decision because I do have a lot going on, but I felt that at this time in our state's history, with our economic problems, I thought that some of the things that I've learned over the past 20 years, especially in small business, could maybe be helpful at a statewide level. And I ran for lieutenant governor because I really felt we need an ambassador to represent all the small business people in our state. And I feel that small business really can be that economic engine that really can get our economy moving again, that we need to pay attention to the little guy, not only the big UTCs of the world, but the mom and pop stores or the small tech firms that are starting up. You know, one of the things that I always say is, I say to my kids, I said, you know, don't think about who you want to work for. Think about what you want to make. Think about what company you want to have. And we need to start our kids younger. You know, we start talking about entrepreneurialism in high school and college. And that's what's going to give us back our Yankee ingenuity.
Well, the reality of it is, Lisa, that I think it's 65 to 75, as high as 80% of all new jobs generated are generated and thrown off by small businesses, which only leaves 15 to 20% to be thrown off by the major corporations.
You got it.
I think one of the things after we get out of politics, I want to really have the entrepreneurialism as a theme, because people have a tendency of having a romanticized vision of it as opposed to the hard work that it really is. But back to politics. Was your run in politics, because people get interested in politics nowadays, was that run for that lieutenant governor's position worth it for you, Lisa, and why?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I learned so much about the whole inner workings of the political machine, which, you know, from afar, I didn't quite understand the whole convention process as much as when you're really, you know, right, involved with it. I met some great people that aren't in my normal walk of life, you know, going through my normal business and community organization stuff. So I met great people, learned a lot, and I really enjoyed the conversations, you know, digging really deep, not just staying up here on, oh yeah, we need to fix the energy crisis we have. I mean, really coming down to how are we going to fix it? Love those kind of things.
Let me ask you a personal question. If you don't want to answer it, don't answer it.
Okay.
You know what, Lisa?
How old am I?
Listen, no. Lisa, when I look at your bio, I mean, colloquially speaking, you're like the whole package. I mean, you're going after a PhD. You're an enormously successful businesswoman. This was your first entry into politics. So the question has to be, If you had to pick someone that you wanted to get into politics at this particular time, very successful businesswoman, smart, well-connected, et cetera, why aren't you the lieutenant governor?
Oh, that is a good question. You know, politics doesn't work the way you normally would think. They don't do it like a business person. And people always say, well, Lisa, politics isn't a business. Government's not a business. But I do believe we need to move some more business functions, more strategic planning into government to make it run better. So why am I not the chosen candidate? Because people make up their minds based on a lot of factors. The guy that I was running against had 20 years in politics. And I didn't have those connections. So, I mean, he was a good guy, he was a good candidate, and Nancy Wyman's a good candidate. I hope that she can take some of the things that I tried to bring to the table and push them through.
Let me end it by saying somewhere between, Nancy's been in government for a long time.
Yeah,
Mark is a good guy, Mayor Danbury, I think, a
Yeah.
long time.
Right.
Here you are with zero, right? Somewhere in between all of your business acumen and all of their government experience is probably the right candidate that we're looking for.
There you go.
That's my editorial opinion,
Okay.
anyway. So you founded and owned and been part of selling, perhaps, certainly president of many businesses. Tell us about, pick 3 or 4 out and give us a little bit on your healthcare and your entertainment businesses.
Okay. Well, first let me just tell you, at 29 I started my first company. It was a marketing company. And I thought, you know, I can teach nursing homes how to market themselves. But what happened was I realized that to market themselves, they needed to discharge more people into the community, and that word of mouth would get more people to come back. And they said, well, we have to do more rehab. So I put my physical therapy hat up, and I said, well, I know how to do rehab. I can help get therapists. And before I knew it, I had a 300 company of therapists that started from a little marketing company. So it was very serendipitous.
300 people.
300. So the first company I had
Now,
was,
did you grow that by acquisition, Lisa?
No, just
it was
purely
volume growth.
Volume, yes,
Okay.
in-house volume. So in 1997, I had 300 therapists, and I decided to sell that company. I'm a life cycle kind of person, and there's a point in time where someone else needed to take it on. And it became a national company, so I sold to someone that just blew it out the doors, and it was great timing. I was also on my 4th child. Family-wise, I wanted to do a little bit more at home. But I still have a business mindset, so I took some of the money and I bought a golf course and started a bowling center and the mini golf and created
So you
Blue
must have made your
Fox.
trip to Wall Street to make that sale, Lisa?
I did.
You did
yes,
very well.
Yes, I did fine.
Okay.
And was able to continue businesses, but in a much more family-friendly environment. Could take my kids to conventions, you know, and enjoy
Lisa,
it.
let me ask you a question, because I think for the audience listening, the question always is, how do you get interested in being an entrepreneur? By reading your bio, I remember actually one of your first assignments was in Aetna, and you were in marketing, and you got involved in a lot of small companies there, and the kinds of things that you got involved in with Aetna, was that kind of the thing that said, I really need to get out on my own and open up my own marketing company here?
No, it wasn't Aetna. I worked for a small physical therapy owner, so I worked under an entrepreneur. And I started doing some marketing for his company when I was a physical therapist, and I was going to Yale, and so there were a lot of different things. No, I never worked for a big company like that.
Oh,
no.
okay, I must have
didn't.
misread.
Yeah. But I always wanted to start a business, and I had a goal before I'm 30. I don't know where it came from. I worked for a dentist. He was a little entrepreneur. I worked for, small business people. And by 29, I was ready to do a marketing plan and put it together. It was a great concept, but it was small. When the therapy came in, I realized, I can have a big company. And that took off and did well. And
So tell us about Blue Fox Enterprises.
So Blue Fox Enterprises started out, one golf course, and then I took my kids bowling, and at the end of it I said, I think I could have done a better job at that because it was dark and dingy. It kind of was still smoky. And I saw a little sign when I walked out that said, for sale. And I said, I think I'm going to buy that.
So you bought the bowling alley.
I bought the bowling. I converted. It was the first non-smoking bowling center in Connecticut. My kids helped me design it, and we did parties and all kinds of things. And then I built a mini golf, and then I added so I have 27 holes on the Blue Fox Run golf course. And I like to create. I like to take things and build them and put my stamp on them.
But I also heard you say that you're kind of a life cycle person,
Yes.
which tells me that when you acquire or build a company, you're also looking out there for the exit strategy.
Always have an exit
Always
strategy.
have the exit strategy. So tell us a little bit about the healthcare side, because you're into healthcare a lot.
Yeah. Well, I was into it early on, and then in 1997 I sold a bunch of businesses all at once and got totally out of healthcare. I had a lot of non-competes. In fact, I have a non-compete that's going to be ending in the next month or so on another company. But I gave that up, and then once the non-competes were done and I had done my life cycle with the, I put my stamp on the golf course and the bowling, I was ready to get back into healthcare again. And so in '06, I started up another rehab company, and it's doing very well. I mean, our sales are kicking out.
And didn't you open up another company recently? Did I read something?
I'm starting a pharmacy, so I have a company called MedStat, which I'm starting. I have the rehab company. I have little small companies, a company called Swallowing Diagnostics. I mean, little med tech companies that are just beginning. I like my irons in the fire. You never know which one will light.
Now, Lisa, do you treat them like, I mean, there's a concept, incubator companies.
Yes.
Is your mindset that you acquire the small company or build a small company and put it like through an incubator life cycle, and at the end of the thing is where your exit strategy is? You wait until a certain amount of time or a certain special moment when you say now's the time?
Well, in healthcare, the insurance companies and Medicare play a huge role. So I'm very good at watching when those windows open. Medicare says, we want to take care of every elderly, no matter what. And as a rehab professional, I know how to take care of people. You dive in that window and you provide services. Then Medicare says, nope, we aren't going to pay that much for that industry sector. We're going to go in some other direction, home care. So now I'm looking at home care companies, still providing the great services, but knowing that that's not where I'm going to grow. Where else are the openings in healthcare? So I listen very closely to what's going on.
So speaking of healthcare, I mean, I don't know whether you view it as an opportunity or a challenge or what word you want to attach to it. Everything that's happening with our good friends in Washington, D.C. And we have something called Obamacare that's 2,600 pages long, and now they all reconvene. They're going to decide they're going to repeal it. Very few people know what's in the 2,600 pages to begin with. Do you view that whole thing, and however it's going to come out, because we have to change our healthcare system probably, do you view that whole thing as an opportunity or a challenge, Lisa?
Well, I believe that healthcare is an opportunity, and it could be a great opportunity for Connecticut. We are going to need healthcare going in well past 2020. We can provide healthcare in Connecticut for people in other countries with the new technology and robotics and some of the things we're doing. We have to get better and more efficient with disease management. I understand that model, and I am rolling out some things that will perhaps help, that could be good business models. But the whole repeal, reform, those issues, it's a huge mess. We needed reform. We went too far in directions that we didn't even talk about tort reform. I mean, that's got to be on the table.
Yeah, how could you do that?
And so they want to repeal it. I'm a believer in we can put some changes in there. We can keep some of the good stuff, get rid of the bad stuff, but we cannot increase our costs. That's not going to be.
Let me ask, we probably got close to 5 minutes left.
Okay.
That's all. So let's talk about entrepreneurship, for want of a better word.
Yeah.
As a very successful entrepreneur herself, and you probably know other successful entrepreneurs, if I challenged you and said, Lisa, listen, what I want you to do is I want you to list for me the 3 or 4 characteristics that one has to have to be even think about, let alone being a successful entrepreneur, what would they be?
I think passion is a big one. I think you have to be very good at making decisions relatively quickly. The people that are really smart and they want to study things for too long, you might miss the opportunity. So you don't jump in. So the risk-taking, I guess, has to go along with that. And, you have to get along with a lot of different people. We have to be able to put teams together that make sense with different personality types and understand how to get the best out of those people. So I think those 3 traits.
So the passion, the decision-making, the risk-taking.
And then the personality to understand.
To make it all work together.
Yeah, I think that's.
So if I came to you and I said, Lisa, look, I want to be an entrepreneur just like you. And of course, I see you and I see all of your success.
Yeah.
I have this kind of romanticized version of look at how successful Lisa has become without thinking about what you've got to go through to do it, right?
Yeah.
So I say, Lisa, please give me some advice. I'm thinking of having a career as an entrepreneur. What advice would you give me?
Well, I'd ask you, what are your passions? You know, is it money that drives you, or is it really customer service, that you care about how people are going to respond to what you're bringing to the table? Or do you want accolades? I mean, you got to figure out what's going to drive you. It might not be the money. It might be just, for me, I love creating. That's my passion. And then it's hard. I mean, you have to make hard decisions. You know, some people have to get let go. You have to be able to make those decisions, especially if you employ a lot of people.
And it's hard work, Lisa. I mean,
I work. Our life is work and family, but they tie in and they're blurred. Those lines are very blurred. When we're on vacation, we're working. When we're working, we're doing family stuff. So as long as you like that, then maybe an entrepreneur is a good path for you.
What about the money that is required to be an entrepreneur? I mean, a lot of people become very successful entrepreneurs. Our next guest, David, started out with $1,000 and is doing extremely well. Other people may have capital at hand to do it.
Yeah, I didn't. I had to refinance my house for my second business. The first one was a marketing company. It was a little bit less, but by the time I was into the therapy business, I did have to take a loan off of my mortgage. And that's risky. I mean, you know, you've got bills to pay and all of that. So, and I worry about money, even at this stage, because you make one major wrong investment. The golf course has been a lot of money thrown into holes in the ground.
Well,
I mean, it's not a pretty picture right now.
Yeah.
Right now.
So, I mean, the other thing is, too, Lisa, perseverance and resilience have to be characteristics that you have to have. You know what? The downside of risk-taking, I mean, the upside people see for successful entrepreneurs. The downside is you're going to take a hit every once in a while. And you have to be able, I mean, it's easy to fall down. It's harder to get up. You have to be able to get up and go at it again. Yeah,
and I've had failures. And I owned a Boston carpet and tile store. It was a retail store. We had 3, my brother and myself. And it failed. We went under. We didn't go bankrupt, but I had to close all 3 facilities and just say, hey, you know, I learned a lot in this process, and I'm not going to make those mistakes again.
Okay, Lisa, we got 3 minutes left. Let's take the 2 things we've talked about and put them together. We talked about government, right, and we talked about entrepreneurship and what it takes to be a successful one, right? What does it take to have government be a successful partner with entrepreneur? I mean, is it capital? Is it credit? Is it underwriting? Is it incentives for hiring people? Is it none of the above and get out of my way?
Well, I've talked to a lot of manufacturers, small manufacturers in Connecticut, and you know what they said? Leave us alone. If government gets out of our way, we can create the jobs. But getting out of the way means a little bit less taxes, you know, not putting all of the expense on small business. Like, let them do their job. I think that is, if we can get the right ingenuity back in Connecticut, the people that want to take risks, and the government's not going to cut them off at the shoulders, then I think we'll have more jobs, and we'll get those people to say, I'm going to be in Connecticut, I'm going to live here, I'm going to move here.
So you're saying that the general feeling that the perception of doing business in Connecticut is something that is a daunting task.
It's not a perception. I've lived it. I mean,
it's a reality.
DEP, the Army Corps, the planning and zoning, I mean,
unfunded mandates,
over hoops.
Healthcare,
not knowing the tax structure. Property taxes going up and up and up. It's really, really difficult to do business in Connecticut. We love it here, and we're going to stay here, but I understand why some people move.
So we've got 45 seconds left. So when we have you back a year from now, what will Lisa be saying about a year from now in 30 seconds?
I hope I'm saying that, you know what, this new government with the new governor and lieutenant governor have done the right things, and we are sitting here with lower energy costs, taxes that are controllable and understandable, and we're ready to get more young people into business through their colleges and through the government supporting that entrepreneurship.
Excellent, Lisa, and that's the last word. Pleasure having you on and having you back
again.
And we'll be back with our next segment of the hour.